Blog Talk Radio.
Good day. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and foes. Let us dive into today's subject, but before we even begin this, let's take the time to just, if this is daytime for you, I want you to go to the window or the blinds or the shades and look up at the disc and that celestial realm of the ancestors and the Creator. Let's just say thanks. And in whatever language you speak, just say thanks. And then let us not be remiss in our duty, always giving thanks, giving honor, giving homage, giving praise, knowing that we owe everything to our celestial parent and the Creator for bestowing upon us life, to bestowing upon us thought, to bestowing upon us intelligence and the mobility of our limbs, giving us in the likeness of their creative powers so that we can bring forth humanity, that we can accomplish those things that they have said to us that we should do. We are sent here to colonize the earth and to bring it under their dominion according to their divine instructions. We shouldn't be renegades. We shouldn't be rebellious, but we should be good children that respect and obey their parents and bring everything into subjugation to their will. And in their beautiful and righteous names, the Lord Akhenaten, our God, the Lady Nefertiti, our goddess, and the illuminous Creator. Because if it's not for the Lord Akhenaten and the Lady Nefertiti, we cannot stand before the Creator, because the Creator is all light. So just even the speck of the thought of evil, the thought of disobedience, the thought of doing anything contrary to divine will, do you know we wouldn't exist? Not standing in front of the Creator, we couldn't do it, because it would be already detected. Even anything that was said in error, even if anything was done in error, any time in your life, I'm talking about a little baby doing something that it was not supposed to do. All that counts against his record. See, you're dealing with a high, holy Creator. And had it not been for our divine parents coming here and showing us how to walk, and if we lived in truth and followed their guidance, then the women become as Nefertiti and the men become as Akhenaten. And so then when you go up, regardless of what religion, regardless of what you call yourself, it's at the end of the day, when it's all done and said, there's only two types of people that can stand in front of it. When you get judged, it's only two people that can stand. It's no matter if you're black or white, Arab, Asian, African, European, black or white, Hispanic. Doesn't matter. There's only two types of individuals when you go up to be judged. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Doesn't matter if you're transgender. Doesn't matter if you're gay or lesbian. Doesn't matter if you Hebrew, Israelite, Muslim, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, Confucius, or even of the Baha'i faith or a Mormon. It doesn't matter. Or a Christian. It doesn't matter. Or a Catholic. It doesn't matter. There's two types of people when you go up to be judged. In the celestial halls of grand judgment. You ain't witnessed judgment yet until you go there, because you ain't going to be able to speak. You ain't going to be able to act out. You're going to be arrested and then brought forth to be arraigned. And when you're coming into that arrangement, that arraignment, your books will be open. That means your mind, both sides. See, that's why it's patterned after a book. Your left side and your right side, and that book is opened up, and it reveals every thought, and it's weighed. Everything you spoke, and it's weighed. And every deed that you did is weighed on the scales of justice, on the scales of morality, on the scale of high holy righteousness, and if you will be able to stand and to enter into paradise and sit with those that submitted their will to do the will of the universal creator that was revealed through our celestial parents, the Lord Akhenaten and the Lady Nefertiti. I want you to know this right now. How would you stand? I need to ask you that question. How would you stand? How would you stand? Mohammed can't give you a pass. Jesus can't give you a pass. Mm-hmm. Because then when they come down here, didn't they have to do some things too? They sure did. Moses can't give you a pass. I can't give you a pass. I don't give a damn who you can prop up. Any of modern leaders, it ain't going to matter. Because the soul returns unto its sender. So whoever sent you, you're going to have to be judged by that one. How would you stand? And if you know right now that you will not stand good, not based on the criterion that I just laid, even I, since I've been knowing about this ever since I was about 10 years old, even the little bit that I have done, had it not been for the example of the Lord Akhenaten. So then when I perish, and then being translated into that divine court, I will have the depiction of him. And see, that's what it really means when you submit your will to do the will of God. That means you do what he do. You say what he said. And as to the best of your ability, you think the way that he thinks and what he said to think like. And that's all is in your scriptures. This is what they stole out of Amarna. This is what they stole out of Egypt and out of Ethiopia. And then scribbled this in their books, a script. And then they gave it to the world. It is a script so that if you follow it, just like an actor follows a script. And the more that do it exactly like that and become that scriptural text, if you will, or that script writing, that play, when he becomes that, he lives that part. Isn't that the very best portrayal? Have you ever saw someone that, they were both actors or actresses, and you know what the character should be like, and it was lackluster. And then here comes along somebody else with enhanced skill. And then they do the part. Then you're like, wow, now that's how it should be done. That's what it's like when you is able to submit your will to do the will of the universal creator. Then look. Then you become more and more like Akhenaten. The women become more and more like Nefertiti because really they are one. So when you are seeing that morphed image of Akhenaten, really what you're looking at is his head, his arms, his legs, but his midsection, what you're looking at is Nefertiti because that's reproductive. Those are the reproductive areas. So you might see some breasts and you might see some curvy hips. They are telling you that they are one. That's all it is. They are one because they've seen that oneness of the universal creator. There's only two that ever said that they seen the universal creator, and that is the universal creator's offspring. He's only had two, Shu and Tefnut. That's ancient Egyptian. How would you say that in modern day? You would say Queen Nefertiti and the Pharaoh Akhenaten. That's the last time we had been visited on earth as it is in heaven. So they came and relayed the blueprint and said, now keep this. We will be back in about 3 days. Don't add to, don't take away. Do it exactly like we're doing it here. And lay the perfect example for a woman should be like, and lay the perfect example for what a man should be like. That's all in the example of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Then, inside the scriptures, you may have the Proverbs 31 woman, and then you may have the Lady of Wisdom. Wisdom. Not Mayat anymore. Wisdom. See? And who is that a replication of Nefertiti? So when you see all these divine men, who is they a representation of? They submitted their will to do the will of God. Who is God to them? God is Akhenaten. And so they did his will. They did it. They tried to walk that light just like him. What you think Jesus was doing or Yashua was doing in Egypt when they left when he was an infant? The next thing you know, he 12 years old, talking about there is no God but one. Where do you think he got that from? What part of Egypt do you think that he got that from? He didn't get in the main society because that was outlawed. He had to go down. He had to camp out at the city of Amarna. He had to read those glyphs. And he became that. How else you think it happens? How do you think Moses submitted his will to do the will of God? His brother was the Pharaoh that was in charge over the world kingdoms. President of the United States today is basically the leader of the free world. That's how it was for Akhenaten at that day and time, period. And he ruled over it all. And he set in motion a new paradigm. And that paradigm was monotheism. And this has shaken up the world ever since. To turn human beings from polytheism, from doing their own will to submitting their will to do the will of the universal creator, we should always give thanks. We should always give thanks. And when we stray away from that, and I know we're teaching you, and we didn't give greetings, and I'm so sorry, right? I just want to delve deep in it, right? But listen, don't let us be remiss in our duty. and giving thanks, giving honor, giving homage to the Lord our God and to the land Nefertiti and to the universal creator by bestowing upon you and bringing thanks, bringing greetings from them to you in the language of Scripture, in the Amharic language by saying peace, and in the Arabic language by saying salam, and in the Hebrew or Aramaic language by saying shalom, and that simply means peace. I bid you peace. I bring you peace from them. And if you receive of their peace, that they don't want to judge you, to live in life, liberty, prosperity, good health, success, wealth, high intelligence. They want you to do that on earth. All they want you to do is submit your will to do their will. That's all they want you to do. And it's really not a hard thing to do. Well, let me say it like this. It's easy in the instructions of it. But it only becomes hard when we want to rebel against it, beloved. It only becomes hard when we want to rebel against it. Now, how would you stand if we do not do those things which will curb these social ills that we are seeing today? How will we stand before them? How will we be standing before them if, as a parent, mother or father, and we didn't teach our children, we didn't teach our daughter how special she is, teaching our daughter that she is a human instrument, that as her body develops and when she gets of a certain age, she will be able, and that she has to understand that she's only a human instrument. It's not her having children. It's the Creator using her body in order to be the vehicle through which human beings can come forth on this earth. So it's not of her. Just like we have in the Scriptures, it's not of our righteousness. Because we are born just as human beings. Now, we are given the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and its indwelling spirituality that we can accomplish anything in our path. So that means that we are set in a world of duality. Rights, wrongs, darkness, light, up, down, in, out, male, female, darkness, light. Everything is set in duality. And our purpose is, as man, meaning men and women, we were sent here to manage over the earth. And if we're not doing good management, listen, how can people manage if they're not taught that they are sent here as managers? As not only to manage, but to maintain. So then we would destroy the earth. We get litter all over the place. How this is supposed to be a paradise for man. We are sent here to colonize the earth and to bring it into a paradise. Follow divine instructions. Why are you dying to go to heaven and you're supposed to be born? We were born to do what? To make this into a paradise where we can live on this earth for a very long time. And if we do not teach our young girls and our young men that their seed is not supposed to be wasted, that we should not just have sex for just any reason, but it's a procreative thing. Then we wouldn't have teen pregnancy. You see, if we teach them young, if we teach them to stay away from it, if we teach them that this will bring negativity on our society, if we engage in this in an inappropriate way, I'm talking about sex, if we just taught them that, then you wouldn't have abortions, would you? Yeah. Then you wouldn't have baby dumping. Then you wouldn't have any laws to be passed. Mm-hmm. So that a young lady within 30 days of having the baby, if she take the baby to a hospital, to a police station, to a fire department, she can leave the baby there, no questions asked, within 30 days. They don't care if you're white, black, Hispanic. They don't care. I'm talking about in the United States of America. Now we have to make laws about this because human beings aren't teaching children in sex education what this is really about. See? This is sad. A lot of the social ills, if we have corrected things in society so that if we're going to have public schools, then certain things should be taught in public schools, like true sex education. We should be teaching not only abstinence, but, hey, stay clear away from any sexual activity. That this is only for reproducing. If you don't want to see yourself on this earth, there ain't no business you should be having any children. You don't know yourself yet, and this is those that is in between, in their teens going into their early 20s. You don't know yourself yet. You ain't lived long enough yet. You haven't educated yourself enough yet. You haven't really been through anything yet in order to say, I'm ready to have a baby. You gotta live. You gotta live. You gotta do things at a slower pace, especially when you're talking about sex. You have to do it in a slower pace. You can't just be rushing into things, because then when you rush into things, then you got this teen pregnancy, then you got abortions. Killing off human beings because nobody taught you the truth about what it was. Neither taught the young boy or the young lady. Then there's baby dumping. People, some say, you know what, I'm not even going to take the baby to the fire department or to a hospital or to a police station. I'm just going to dump the baby in a dumpster. So you got to go back to that Tupac. Go back to Tupac, Brenda having a baby. Matter of fact, go back and look at that video, and you'll see what's happening still happening in Black America. Even though females have 30-something contraceptives and pregnancy preventatives, and they still are baby dumping. That's because they're not being taught. They're not being taught in the church. They're not being taught in community. They're not being taught at home. They're not being taught at school. Like, why are they doing it? Then you got social media. Then you got, all the showing of the body, and you got this body figure obsession. Yeah, we just obsessed with booties and with breasts, and women making up themselves. They're not satisfied with their looks. So it's all types of makeup, all types of wigs and weaves and all that kind of stuff like that, and body injections and so on and so forth. See, all this means is that they were never taught. Generation after generation, they wasn't taught what they were born to do. We keep getting so far away. Then the further we get away from it, then we lose purpose on things. That's what I want you to see. We lose purpose for things. Listen. So I explained that about the young lady. Now, when you understand this about the young men, then he'd just be a stud. He'd just be going around having children out of wedlock for no reason. Like a stud. And they'd take the stud horse, right? And they would take him from farm to farm, right? Stable to stable. And you might have some, the good female horses, right? And he'd just be over there impregnated and then see if he can produce good offspring for racing. Yeah, mix him with certain female horses in order to produce athletic, or you would say, offspring. Isn't this what we have in basketball? Isn't this what we have in football? Isn't this what we have in just urban neighborhoods? Then they out here killing themselves, shooting one another, and then their organs are harvested. Yeah. You got people that is like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. As long as it's the same blood type, fine, right? And, you got all these young men dying so their organs can be harvested. You got music that's being produced that's causing not only the men to commit more violence against one another in their neighborhoods, but you got this music to demoralize women, so therefore she would sexually exploit herself because it is popular, and everybody wants to do what is popular, don't they? Well, except if you're Yashua. Because I never was moved by what was popular. Never was. You can go back and ask those that grew up with me. They said, oh, no, he was always his own trendsetter. I wasn't way an oddball, but I just didn't do everything everybody else do. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I even though the individuality that I had, I was taught young to submit my will to do the will of the universal creator. So my walk would be different. My talk would be different. The way I behave would be different. Do you understand me? My thoughts would be different. My verbiage would be different. And so then my friends will tell you, as it was popular for them because they done watched movies like Boys in the Hood. They was all into the rap and NWA. I mean, this is like late 80s, late 1980s, early 1990s, right? And my friends will tell you right now, they say, man, I remember. I mean, mind you, now I can see a couple, and they say, man, I remember when we used to smoke, and we used to pick you up. This is what they say to me. Remember when we used to pick you up and put you in the car, put you in between the seat to go around in the neighborhood, driving around. And we'd be passing around our 40, the 40 ounce, in our weed, and we ask you questions about God, questions about history, questions about the universe, and different things, and then you'll be schooling us, I said, yeah, I remember. And the brother said, I wish we had listened to you. I wish we had just was doing what you was doing. And that saddened me. And the reason why that saddened me is because I wasn't trying to be like them at all. But all I was doing was being an example for them so that they don't engage into the social ills of society so that we can be better. What is some of the social ills and how we destroy one another? I talked about teen pregnancy, abortion, baby dumping. See, we got to make all these laws to kind of curb this and to make it, where we don't shame people, we don't judge people, even when women or men that is overweight, more weight on their bones, and it's evidenced by they begin to have jowls and a thick neck and flappy arms and so on and so forth, and big buttocks and really thick legs and so on and so forth, right? And that weight would be on them, knowing well it's going to give them diabetes, knowing well that it's going to give them, with some people they're going to have gout, and this puts such stress on the body. But we are in social media, in the social media realm, then people don't want to fat shame and that kind of stuff. No, it's not about that. It's about telling the truth. Is what they're saying the truth? Lady, young man, are you overweight? You know you're overweight, and you know this is not good for you, but you're just going to keep eating. Do you realize right now in the United States of America, this is the phenomenon right in front of your face, and you're not even realizing that we have the richest fat people in the world. Typically, well, I should say, let me take that back. The poorest fat people. That means people that are in poverty, below the poverty line, are fat. Typically, if you go to any other place in the world, they're impoverished people. They are very, very skinny and malnourished. Now, just because you fat or obese, that doesn't mean that you are well nourished. No, it doesn't. That means you are taking in particular foods that is accelerating your fat glands, that's leaving more weight on you, and you're not defecating enough, and it's just keep adding to you. But you could be eating food that is robbed of its nutrients and values, but they're pumped up with more calories and more salts and sugars and so on and so forth. So this becomes weight upon you, especially if you're eating a lot of fast food and so on and so forth. So even in my teachings, I give you a dietary program so that you can come off that. You can come down to the weight for your height and your body. Matter of fact, you should go to the doctor. And based on your height and age, you should be a certain weight. You should ask them, what is that weight that you should be? And then that should be your goal to remedy, you know what I'm saying, the overweightness. And that's for your own good. That's not fat shaming. That's really for your own good and for your own health. Then we have, some of these other social ills. We got bankruptcy. We got this tremendous amount of debt because we are not shown how we should live. We're not shown that in school. What we're seeing of our parents, they are in bankruptcy. or they indebted, they're divorced, or they're in relationships that are not feasible, relationships that are not positive. Bunch of fighting, bunch of swearing, not showing children a good example of manhood and womanhood. Even if you are as parents, you should be giving your child the very best example of manhood, the very best example of womanhood. Well, how you going to do that, Yashua? That's what you say? Okay, then you go to my website, and I have an article there about the Proverbs 31 woman becoming a woman of God. Then I have on that website about becoming a man after God's own heart, a man of God. See, what God requires of a man, what God requires of a woman, how they should be, how they should speak, how they should act and behave, not only towards one another, but also in society. I give you that in my teachings. There ain't no excuse when you come here. Ain't no excuse. And on that same website, I give you what you should be teaching your children. See, we could deal with these social ills. It's all about now you're taking this and then now putting them into everyday practice. We shouldn't be engrossed in materialism. See, but if you're seeing this on social media, if you're seeing this on your streaming video apps and so on and so forth, right? The more that you see this, the more people engage in it. Not knowing. You're destroying yourselves by your behaviors. Yeah. So then we got illegal drugs, the lifestyles, people, like boys and girls being bullied at school, low self-esteem issues. We could remedy all of this. You can listen. Anything that I spoke on today, the remedy of all these social ills is in my teachings. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Listen. Nobody have an excuse of why we couldn't get better. You know why? That I eliminate your excuses because of this reason. God didn't make me too tall or too short. He made me just right for you. He didn't make my hair too kinky, and he didn't make it too straight. He made it just in between. So then even when you look at me, you can say he's handsome. He didn't make me too pretty, and he didn't make me too ugly. He made me just right. So a European, an Asian, an Arab, an African, a Hispanic, wherever you at in the world, you can look at me and say, he's pleasant to look at. He made me like this. He didn't make me fat, and he didn't make me too skinny. He made me balanced. He made me just right. He made me to get enough education in various aspects of human endeavor so that I'm well-versed on many things. He made me to study religions. He made me to study cultures. He made me to study certain things about economics and certain things about politics and about social order and so on and so forth, and then compare it to the scriptures, then compare it to how he set up the society in the city of Amarna, the city of the one God. So you're without excuse. So I'm not biased on one way or another. You ain't going to have me more biased towards Christianity. You ain't going to have me more biased more towards Judaism. You ain't going to make me more biased towards ancient Egyptians. You ain't going to make me more biased towards Ethiopians. You ain't going to make me more biased towards Islam or Americanism. No, I'm right in between. Because all of those aspects, they have things that we need, and they got a lot of things that we need to discard. So I'm balanced. In my teachings, there's balance for the world. And so that's why I call a world reformation. And it's going to take human beings to want reform, to say we have done it our way, but our way haven't been successful. When are you going to be that honest? When your politicians is going to be that honest? When is your religious people that's going to be that honest to say we really failed? But you know why they ain't going to say that? Because there's money involved. That's what it's really about. It's about money. It's about materialism. Now I can understand why it said the love of money is the root of all evil. Or you might say the love of materialism. You want to have something more than somebody else. So that desire is there. Because somebody, some religious instructor, some parent, some teacher, educational teacher, some community leader, some cultural leader, they didn't teach you about God and what God expects of human beings. See, this is why we can't bring in the kingdom of God. This is why it's not ushered in. This is why you don't see it. How you going to see the kingdom of God and majority we see around us? 90 to almost 100%. It's all evil. How's that possible? It's not possible. And this is why they say the kingdom of God is within. It has to be brought out. Now, the instructions is there. That's why I told you at the time of your birth, you are given, even if it's small quantity, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and the indwelling spirituality from above, that you can accomplish anything that has been put in your path. So the social ills that we see today, it could be remedied. We could remedy illegal drugs. We could remedy poverty. We can remedy illiteracy, homelessness, unhealthy lifestyles. We could remedy debt, remedy materialism. We could remedy divorce. We could remedy body figure obsession and disfigurement. We could eliminate teen pregnancy. We can eliminate abortion. We could eliminate drive-by shootings. We can eliminate gang activity. We could eliminate baby dumping. We can eliminate alcoholism. We could eliminate disease based on our diet and other things, if you want it. Because the root of all of that and how we get out of hand and then putting us back into proper perspective and on the proper path towards God, that's all in my teachings. There's no way nobody can escape from me. No one. My teachings is that well-rounded. The Dalai Lama could get some of this teaching and improve himself. I don't give a damn who you is. You can get some of this. The president can get some of this, and it can improve his presidency if he was wise. But I still hear people saying, "Oh, we don't need reform." Well, what do you mean you don't need reform if people's thoughts are manipulated in social media that causes them to do all sorts of evil? And we don't get shamed by the evil, applaud the evil. We look at the evil as funny instead of looking at it as shame. It's only shame for the most part for people when it targets either their ethnic group or their skin color or their own personal family. But majority of the time, they are so individualized. You are so individualized. You think that, oh, that happened to those people. That won't happen to me. That won't happen to us. The same people, listen to what I'm saying, the same family. I've seen this. I witnessed this. So you cannot tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. I see families in the city of Chicago in very, very bad, crime-ridden neighborhoods. We can cruise through during the daytime, of course, and see what's going on. Somebody down the block was shot. They just stand outside, talking, so on and so forth. A group of, young men. Maybe they in the gang, maybe they not. Let's not even get deep into that. Somebody rolls up on them in the vehicle. 3 shooters get out of the vehicle and shoots at those men. Some of those men have guns. Then they pull at their guns, begin to shoot back at the men, ducking behind cars. Now, mind you, you're in a neighborhood, close to a park, close to a school. Kids playing outside. You see little boys, little girls, in their fenced areas or non-fenced areas, and they just riding their bikes, and they may be on a little swing set or whatever like that. This is all in front of their house. Some of their parents are sitting on the porch. Some of their parents are in activity outside with those little kids, and all of a sudden, this violence breaks out. We don't know why it's being broke out. That's not the point. But then, so we see all this shooting going on. None of the men was hit on either side. But a little child was shot. Matter of fact, 3 children were shot. 2 of them was grazed. 1 was hit in the head, and that baby died. People in the neighborhood are grieving. Families are grieving. Of course, the shooters, they all ran away. And you see people crying. See the news come. Once when everything is cleared, of course. Then the police come. They set up a little barricade, and they got their police tape out there and so on and so forth. Yeah. And nobody. I'm in the city of Chicago. This is July of 2021. You have major black organizations. Their headquarters are in the city of Chicago. You do not see these organizations represented that go on a citywide campaign to tell that because they got the money to do it. They already collected this money for decades. And they're not telling the people. I mean, getting out on those bullhorns, whatever it's going to take I don't care if you have to, put a loudspeaker up on top of a car and you driving through the neighborhood. Set up some type of classes and get those men truly re-educated. Get those women culturally re-educated so they're not teaching this to their children. Turn off that music that's causing your young women to be thoughts and whores, to making your young men into thugs and drug dealers. Because that's what's popular. It's popular because it's what's on the radio. So you're going to have to protest the radio station. You're going to have to protest the rappers to tell them to tone this down, to put out music that is better for children development. Nothing wrong with more of an entertaining rap like it used to be. But why does everything on the radio have to demean women? Why does everything on the rap songs have to talk about carrying around guns and then opening up, shooting on people and so on and so forth? This is in your rap lyrics. And I dare somebody talking about you don't need reform. What? Hell are you talking about? You do need reform. The whole black America needs reform. From the preacher and politician all the way down to the newborn baby, you need reform. You shouldn't be in authority to teach anybody. You shouldn't be even an authority to have any more children. We should stop it right now and be totally culturally re-educated. And until you submit your will to do the will of God and become culturally re-educated by repenting of yourself and obeying my teaching, you're going to be in this condition until you have very few people left. That's my message to black people right there. That's my message to black people right there. You ain't got no solutions with no black leadership anywhere. Ain't no solution. Because if they had solutions, tell them to get out there and produce. Telling them to stop this killing. But they can't. Because they can't. Some of these black organizations is loving that this is happening. They love this because they're so bent on the hatredness of whites and what? Not what modern whites have done, but in past generations, like, oh, they're all to blame. How could you blame some people that had nothing to do with what other peoples have done, like 300 years ago? That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. Haven't you ever read in the scriptures where it says that the Son is not responsible for the sins of the Father, and the Father is not responsible for the sins of his Son? Every man and woman is responsible for their own sins. Now, does the iniquity of people's sinfulness is visited on the third and fourth generation of those that hate God? Yes. Yes. That's about disobeying God's teachings. That ain't about slavery. That ain't about anything else. Because guess what? Watch this. Slavery would have had never happened had the people that gotten God's instructions had did what they were supposed to do. So when the iniquity was visited upon them and the consequences of that, and slavery was a part of that consequence. It had nothing to do with 1,000 years of slavery on the African continent that was imposed upon the Africans by Arabs. And then they forced them to be in their religion. It was Islam of the sword. And then Europeans later on had about 310 years of slavery, human capital, forced labor, and so on and so forth. And in certain areas in Muslim countries, it's still going on today. What are you talking about? And it was in the United States of America where slavery was outlawed because that was the tipping point. They said, no, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And so from there, then reform had started to come from out of the United States into the world. So you're still under reform right now, and you don't even realize it. That institution was wrong. Yes, it was. But it was wrong to disobey God. If he told you not to do something, if God say, hey, we're going to set up these peace treaties, so for here on out, watch this, for here on out, we're going to trade amongst one another. We're going to do good by one another. We're going to have a code of ethics through this new cultural religious reform that I just revealed, called monotheism. And if we use this and put this into place, if you do this, everything that was done previous, we're wiping that away. And that doesn't count. So from here on out, we engage with trade with one another. We treat each other in this particular way from now on. And you teach this to your children. Your wife will be taught this. The women will be taught this. The husband will be taught this. The fathers will be taught this. The sons will be taught this. The daughters will be taught this. And if we did this, we could be able to engage with each other. No matter what language that we're speaking, we have a core value system where our morals, our values, and our ethics is under this code. So we are all taught this around the world so that we behave towards each other in the most appropriate way. And if we did this, then it's not about color. If we did this, this isn't about your ethnicity up on top of another person's ethnicity. If we did this, this is to be about what God wants us to do and what we should do as human beings, obeying God's instructions. But when we go against God's instructions, there is clear-cut repercussions. So if God set this up and then we went against it, and then we broke down those peace treaties and began to pillage, rape, and murder other people, can we be surprised that centuries later, then those same people that we pillaged turn back unto us what we did? See, that's what you have to realize. That's what you have to realize. And when you have not enough black and African scholars, not enough black and African religious leaders that doesn't know this, obviously, either that or they're turning a blind eye to this. Well, we don't know this, that ain't nothing returning unto somebody. No, it returned back to you what you and your ancestors have done, so that iniquity was revisited. And when it's revisited, now it's causing for all the world now to reform and go back to God's instructions and do what he told you to do, to get revenge on someone else as though they did it first. No, they just returned to you what you did. So now it calls for now it's no more revenge. They got their revenge back. Now, everyone has to reform. And then once when we repent and be reformed and follow God's instructions again, now we can enter back into world prosperity, world a world health care system where it's not based on color, it's not based on ethnicity. All is based